Hi everyone, I've decided to change my YouTube channel to a name that relates more to my new Twitter account. So, my alias is now Autism Toshiro Hitsugaya, or ASD Toshiro for short. I have attached several links beneath my video. The first is to my Twitter account, the other is to my WordPress blog about living on the autistic spectrum. The link after that is to my new social forum for those on the autistic spectrum looking to make friends. The last link is to my old YouTube channel, Bushido. I've decided to convert my latest forum post on an ASD forum into this audio-video format, so here goes. I've not been on the ASD forum for a long while now. I've been trying to set up a new blog, it's my WordPress one. And Twitter account, Toshiro. I'm not all that fond of Twitter, as I find it very difficult to condense my writing into tiny little sentences with abbreviations, which is why I'm using my blog to channel my larger pieces of writing alongside. Of course, I'm also going to be using this YouTube channel to post some of my written words into audio as well. Self-delusion. Yes, this is an interesting subject. The idea to mask yourself to fit in, trying to be normal, mimic neurotypicals. I have never understood any of those quotes, and I've never wanted to live by them. I am true to myself. I stay true to my values and principles. If my autism isn't understood by those I'd be supposed to be mimicking, I wouldn't want to be associated with them. What good is hypocritical people that say one thing 1 minute and completely backtrack on every word they've spoken the next? In fact, it takes me back to my first ever forum thread on the forum I'm reading this from. I've added a link through to the forum thread I'm referring to below this video. It's called My Battleground Puzzle Mind. At the time, I was friends with a neurotypical, writing to her on Facebook at the suggestion of my mother's. A friend that I spoke very briefly to towards the end of primary school, I was in denial of the fact that she was friends with a bully of mine. A bully connected to an emotional bullying incident that cut me very deeply at my young and impressionable age. I saw her posting on Facebook about going on a trip with this bully and her brother. What I meant in the beginning of my forum thread was my mind and heart conflicting with each other in knowing what to do about the idea that my friend and this bully were friends. Since that time, for months, I put the idea to the back of my mind. That was a bad idea, but then I had no choice. I was alone, and I still am in many ways. I had to hold on to that friendship because what else could I do? I just began explaining to her the bullying I went through and how it affected me. She told me that bullies grow out of bullying, but I was expressing to her that it isn't always the case. After all, what about criminals and MPs? Do they care about people or the damage they are causing to many people's lives? No. However, how could I tell sorry. However, how could I tell that she couldn't understand what I meant? Basically, it was earlier the following year that I found a following message on Facebook that my bully cooked my friend a meal. To me, this had many inclinations, and I just snapped. I felt this immeasurable intensity build up inside of me, much like the pinnacle of my breakdown at school. I needed to tell her about my bully, but I was so emotionally charged I pinned the blame all on that one bully. When I reflected later, he wasn't the only one in that class involved in that emotional bullying. Looking back on that class, I can reflect a lot was due to the fact that I switched classes to the last one in primary school. Someone I briefly spoke to from my class later on told me that she knew I was bullied, but she only saw me in that class for 2 years. How could she have known? The class must have been told before I switched classes that I was being bullied, which must have been the reason why I was so badly emotionally bullied at that very last primary school year. It left me with a scar, and a scar that lingered, offshooting into additional emotional traumas. Anyway, to get back onto the message that I sent my friend, I never received a response from her. Instead, she wrote to my mother, and she was blaming my autism for taking it too seriously. I was shocked and taken aback by those words. She told me in her previous messages that she didn't judge people on their disabilities. So what was she doing, accusing my autism? Talk about betrayal. Since that time, she never wrote to me again. Our friendship spun one whole year, and ironically it was snowing at its entry and its departure, the gentle flurry becoming ice cold, landing into my soul. These are the types of people we should be masking ourselves to fit in with, trying to be like them, to mimic these neurotypicals. You cannot be sure who is genuine and who isn't. And when you find that people are outright hypocrites, it can take us a very long time to even work that out. Too long as far as I'm concerned. Why try to fit in with people that are deluding themselves into thinking the world is a bed of roses, when evidence has proven the contrary? Delusion can only lead to destruction in the long term. You can ignore an issue for only so long before it comes back to bite you where it causes the most severe damage, be that in terms of social interaction or the country and worldwide issues. At the loss of her friendship, I felt this sudden, heart-wrenching pain inside of me. It was greater than the meltdown I experienced the first time I found out she was friends with my bully. I went through a much more intensive meltdown. This was because I was trying to hold myself, trying to explain my experiences to this friend in an attempt to try to show her the power of my bully's actions on me were. She couldn't understand any of it, and the subject of emotional pain, especially when I found it so difficult to open up about at the time, telling a female friend felt like social suicide to me. This was all because I tried to control myself and express parts of what happened to me to my friend, but no matter how hard I tried, she still blamed my autism. Self-delusion didn't help me with my Facebook friend. It only led me into further destruction. I want to find more like-minded people, not try to meld my mind to fit in with others. I am not ashamed of my values and principles. I wish to pursue them and find others that feel the same. I'm always aiming to be true to myself, even at the expense of losing that friend on Facebook. It took me a whole year to work out that she wasn't true to herself. Even her messages to me at that point completely changed. It was like I was talking to a completely different person. The truth is, and I've said this before in several places, is that too many people are wearing masks when what lies beneath is something far more sinister. This is what has caused me so much trouble in the social world. What lies beneath each mask? Who truly cares? Who truly understands? Who would truly be interested in writing to me? These are all fundamental questions that I've tried so hard to find the answers to. And why should I have to spend so many years just to work out a simple fact? True or false? Which is it? This is what takes me right back to my emotional pain when I was 13. After I was bullied in primary school, when I was 10, I was called a creep. It hit me like a sledgehammer, and I died inside the moment that word was uttered. I couldn't talk about it for many years, but the moment I turned 13, something totally unexpected happened. I was confronted by 3 females, one of whom told me one of them liked me. After that emotional bullying, I was going through so much pain, I didn't know truth from fiction. I couldn't tell if these females were teasing me or were genuine. I just dismissed them politely. I thought it was all a dream, and it never happened. That was until I was cursed 2 more times later, as I came into contact with the female that liked me on 2 separate occasions, both of which surrounded immense anxiety, and I couldn't go up to her, nor express my thoughts, as my anxiety was through the roof. The reasons why I look back and consider that she may have liked me is her reaction on those 2 occasions. The first time she was shocked to see me and made a mistake in her bank clerking job. The second time she was sitting a long way from me, and she was waving at me, smiling, whilst I had my back to her. I didn't even notice her until I turned around. True or false? How could I have known? How could I have known after I was emotionally bullied that someone truly liked me? I was bullied so much. I never even thought anything like that could ever happen to me. It did, but I totally messed up. And it has never left me. I used to constantly say, "You're an idiot," every time I'm worried about emotional issues. Not to mention, I have immensely painful triggers on the subject of emotional feelings. About confusing the mind, I've become all too aware that there are organizations running in this country and abroad that are doing just that, confusing the mind, sending out misinformation, confusing hypnotic language, not to mention the sheer amount of trolls across the social networking websites, all designed to sway our thoughts and values. When it comes to being true to yourself, unfortunately, there are too many people out there that believe that they have to fit in, yet you should know within yourself what is right and wrong, and not be influenced by the mass media culture in whatever its forms. It doesn't matter what the latest trend is, if it involves something that stands against what you know deep down is common sense and what is right. Allowing them to alter your thoughts and feelings turns you into a robotic zombie without a thought of your own. I do not wish to be a sheep led by shepherds, rather the outsider who knows that delving into the herd will lose your own identity. To the mass media and trends, not to mention the elite in general, see us all as numbers, purely statistics, rather than a human being with a voice. Be a voice. Show people that you're not a zombie, at least that is my aim. To prove that I am true to myself, to prove that I don't live my life through falseness. I do not wish to conform to the status quo. I know I need to question it, analyze it, and work out what is truly going on.